Well, every truly weird thing that happened in Friendly Rivalry. Frenemies with sexual attention, special alone time that made me more than a little uncomfy, and the show writers want you to know that this girl is pretty. Like, no, she's really pretty. Hey besties, welcome back to Keys Typing, where we talk about K-dramas, K-pop, and K-media, but you know that already. And we constantly question why no one has called the authorities yet. Now, keep in mind before you watch this video, we are walking down the twisted road of spoilers. So, if that's not your cup of tea, still watch it anyway, because you want to know what's going on. Alright, this K-drama follows two girls, Seolgi and Jae. Their relationship is complicated. To call them lovers would be a reach. To call them just classmates would be a lie. They're frenemies, soul twins, rivals, trauma buddies. Girl, I don't know, pick your poison. They all the above. We also have two secondary female leads worth mentioning. One is just horny as hell. The other is what Korea calls a face genius, which means the only thing she really contributes for half the show is being hot, but we'll get to them in a second. We meet Seolgi as a tiny child where she's on a school field trip and she gets left behind at sea. Why? Because she didn't wear her school uniform. That's it. That's the reason. Like, excuse me, how do you leave a whole child at sea? Someone called CPS, the White House, the FBI, CIA, FDA, the Avengers, hell, somebody, because what do you mean you returned from the school trip without my child? Hello, somebody's about to get messed up and I'm not turning them loose. Poor little Seolgi gets thrown into an orphanage where she continues to go unnoticed and starts down the path of a bullied delinquent.
그거 알아? 원래 우리 같은 애들은 신원 보증이 안 돼서 그 흔한 알바도 쉽지 않다는 거. 소개해준 일이 약물 쇼핑이었어.
Which is a weird description for one person, but here we are. Seolgi doesn't care about life or school, and she's actively working with a small-time drug peddler played by none other than Choi Young-jae. And side note here, like, when did Young-jae get this fine? Like, he was always cute, but in this particular drama, he wears sleeves very well, and that, friends, is what we call growth. Byung-jin, who's Choi Young-jae's character, by the way, turned Seolgi's life around with one statement. Suddenly, after 5 minutes of studying and popping some questionable pills she received from him, maybe they're ADHD meds, I don't know, they help her see Adam's child. She becomes super smart, like Einstein with bangs, and she's at the top of her class, and suddenly the bullying stops, and the nuns at the orphanage actually remember to feed her.
I used to pray for times like this.
But Seolgi is leaving the hard knock life behind. Her dad has finally found her and she's transferring to Gangnam to join the elite ranks of Chaewon Girls High School, where only the smartest, richest, and most beautiful students are allowed to attend. So, from bullied delinquent to pill-popping prodigy, Seolgi's life is already off the rails. But just when you think she's found a stable path, her dad pulls a K-drama classic and dies under suspicious circumstances, and she's left with her now adoptive mom. Welcome to Gangnam, girl. Seolgi pulls up to Chaewon, and here's where we meet Ji, rich, top student, and charismatic queen bee that's slightly twisted. However, this isn't your typical queen bee. She's been destined by the gods to be a goddess on earth, if you let her dad tell it. Every detail from her conception down to the day and time of birth were pre-planned by her father, Yoo Tae-jun, this drama's sadistic overlord, who is the primary catalyst for a lot of what's wrong in this show. Unsurprisingly, Ji was raised in a tumultuous home where she was forced to excel in everything she did, and subsequently saw everyone around her, sister included, as a competitor or outright enemy. Where everyone saw someone to admire, Ji's true personality was that of a misguided party girl with shady extracurricular activities. However, Ji immediately takes a liking to Seolgi, and over the next 16 episodes, our newly introduced frenemies relationship turns into something questionable, to say the least. We, the audience, become idle bystanders as we watch this story unfold. In a misguided attempt to obtain a school uniform, Seolgi purchased a used one that was owned by a former student who presumably became a lady of the night. This leads to the students ostracizing her because, of course, someone followed, took pictures, and posted it to their anonymous blog for everyone else to see. This doesn't stop Ji from showing Seulgi kindness. She includes her in some after-school activities, and in a weird twist of fate, this leads to them being locked in a closet and listening to our secondary female leads talking shit about Seulgi and Ji, but this only serves to strengthen the bond between the two, and I surmise this is because neither of them have ever known true friendship. Friendship now secure, Ji helps Seulgi obtain class president after promising it to Jo Young, who becomes irate because of the loss. Ji asks Seulgi out to celebrate, which leads to the girls back at Ji's house, and then things happen. Yeah, things happen. However, after seeing some very suspicious texts on Ji's phone, Seulgi finds out that Ji knew exactly who she was all along, and the trust between the two goes out the window again. While all of that's happening, Jo Young, who is still upset about losing the class president election, goes out of her way to find the connection between the two, and boy, does she find the biggest bomb of them all. Okay. Here is where you should fast forward a few minutes if you still want to watch the drama for yourself and not hear major spoilers. Choi Young has learned that Seulgi's dad passed suspiciously while receiving emergency medical care at Yoo Tae-jun's medical center. Yoo Tae-jun, however, remained adamant that he arrived and had sepsis before treatment ever began. Okay, I'm being so serious. Here are the major spoilers. Now, any smart detective would ask themselves, why Sherlock? How did he end up in this situation? I just finished watching Residence, forgive me. It turns out that Seulgi's dad was having an illicit affair with Ji's oldest sister. And to keep the secret from getting out and getting back to Seulgi, who he had just found, he had been tasked with stealing the killer question that was being prepared for that year's CSAT. The surgery to retrieve the question goes horribly awry, and unfortunately for Seulgi, her dad passes before she even gets to meet him. Yes, that's real, and yes, it happened. There are plenty more twists in this story, and we witness our main characters struggle with adolescence, parental expectation, and friendships I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Oh, and did I mention Seulgi gets stabbed and is almost expelled for being the victim of a stabbing and goes full-blown vigilante in the name of justice. Eventually, through a lot of backstabbing, self-snitching, and overall chaos, Seulgi and Ji learn what really happened and try to reveal the truth to set up Yoo Tae-jun, clear Seulgi's name, and free Jae and her sister. However, Yoo Tae-jun is one step ahead of them, and their initial plan doesn't work. This leads to a weird attempt of Jae cutting Seulgi out of her life to protect her. Jae hatches another plan that does all the things above, but ultimately places Seulgi on the same operating table her father passed on. Yeah. Jae escapes her father and skates off into the sunset, leaving Seulgi to get her GED and study for next year's CSATs and hopefully run into her maybe ex-bestie on her boardwalk paradise someday. Roll credits. Okay. I thought this would be a battle of wits school thriller. Literally rich, smart kids doing the most to obtain number one. Instead, it spiraled into a fever dream of elite girl drama, hospital conspiracies, and secret exam trafficking. It tried to cover so many hot topic issues that some of the plots felt rushed and a little undercooked, but it was still so watchable. Like, I needed answers even if the logic didn't always logic. Seulgi. She is quiet, traumatized, deep in her flop era. Girl, popping pills, like literally stopped saying yes to pills. She was sweet, but really frustrating because she had so much potential, and I love that, but I hated her choices. She had all the makings of a tough girl, but made so many like girl be for real decisions. Her arc had depth, but I constantly wanted to grab her by the shoulders and smack her. Jae was hot, she was smart, she was manipulative. Honestly, I still don't trust her. I never really knew if she was helping or being manipulative. I still to this day do not know if she is or is not the villain, and it's still to be decided. She really did have final girl energy with like some morally gray undertones. Like, okay, she's the type to stab you and hand you bandages. I feel like that's the best way to summarize her. And IDK, I just don't buy her act, and I feel like if the story had continued, we would eventually see her actually turn on Seulgi. And Ju Yeri. Ooh, this child's story was all over the place. She's pretty, and that's all you need to know about her. And I mean, when I say pretty, I mean capital P pretty. She's literally introduced to someone who's hot and bankrupt. She betrayed her friends for cash, literally ultimate girl code violation. She constantly aligned herself with all the wrong people. And even though she had potential for redemption, she just ended up being a boy magnet who I guess was being recruited to be maybe an idol or an actress child, a mess. And then we have Gong, who is personally my favorite. She was competitive academic queen, but she was messy as hell. She always looked like she was 3 seconds from saying something just not okay. She was a little bit of a menace, but I found her hilarious, and I think she had one of the best start to end stories because she found her own path and she made peace with where she stood next to JE. My brain's not braining right now, and I do think she deserved way more screen time. There are a lot of things I could point out that I didn't care for, but none of it detracts from how good the show is. Friendly Rivalry is messy and definitely imperfect, but that's what makes it so watchable. Whether the drama, secrets, plot twists, or just general chaos of being a high school student pulls you in, the show delivers, and I would be lying if I said I didn't wish there was more. Anyways, that's all the half-baked ideas I have for this one, and if you don't like and subscribe, are we even really besties? I'm in the middle of watching Karma, but I won't post about it until I've seen the entire show. So come back next week so we can chat about the next K-drama I found. Hopefully it's a good one.